If your children are starting school or returning to school in September and you're concerned about their lack of willingness to sit still, I need you to stop worrying right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Now, I was speaking to a lady the other day and she had these exact concerns. She was dreading her first parent evening before her children had even started school because she tried to get her little boy to engage in some workbooks and some flashcards in preparation for starting school, and he just wasn't interested. So I said to her exactly what I'm going to say to you right now. It is not your child that's the problem. We should never ever be expecting young children to shave off all of their little spiky and quirky edges to be the round peg that's needed to fit into a round hole. What we should be doing instead is encouraging lots of hands-on play and play-based learning, and we need to start adapting the round hole to accommodate our children. So because we are so programmed by default that structured and curriculum-based learning is a priority in school, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for every single child. As soon as our children reach 4 or 5 years old, we seem to think that overnight their purpose is suddenly to learn and begin preparing for their older years ahead of them. But actually, the only purpose of a child is to be a child. So teaching and learning are two very, very different things. So you can have the best teacher in the world, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all kids are going to learn anything from them. So we've all heard of the phrase leading by example, and I genuinely believe that the same rule applies to learning. So if you think about it, up to the age of 4, 5 years old, before they start school, your children have developed amazing skills, and these skills are going to be the foundation that's going to see them through their entire lifetime. So things like manners, things like social skills, empathy, imagination, and all of these things have been learned by purely being a little observer. Not a single workbook in sight. They've never learned any of those skills through a workbook. Yet as soon as they start school, we're programmed to think that the only way that they're going to continue to develop is being told how to do so. And when you think about it, it's giving our next generation really, really limited experiences and opportunities. In a little bit of an alternative way as an adult, if you worked for the next 10 years in an office and you were surrounded every day by the same surroundings and the same people, and you had no prospects of accessing any other skills or development in any other way, you can imagine how restricted you would feel and how that would probably affect your outlook on what you could achieve in the future. Now, obviously, when children are in a school setting, the schools are bound by curriculum and timetables because obviously there's a lot of children, and because the system's really underfunded, there's not enough teachers to go around, and those teachers as well are really frustrated because the system is just really unfit for purpose nowadays, but they're so restricted to be able to adapt the round hole that your children are expected to fit into to accommodate them. So I just wanted to say that if your children are starting school again soon, it's really important to remember that regardless of baseline testing and test results and really like school life in general, it's only a really small portion of what your children are going to need to grow and develop. So when they're at home, on evenings and weekends and school holidays, don't feel railroaded into continually thinking that you have to provide this constant stream of education, perhaps just because your child is not achieving grades that were, let's be honest, set by complete strangers years ago who have no understanding of your child whatsoever. So just because that's what the school system is telling you you should do, I want you to keep this final thought in mind whenever you feel that you're being put in that situation. So nobody Absolutely nobody on this planet knows your children better than you. And regardless of what your educational choices are for your children, you should always have and will always have the final say in exactly what's right for them.